Today we began chapter 11, not bankruptcy, the chapter in your book, thank goodness. And chapter 11 has to do with interest groups. So we began looking at the interest groups at Clarenceville, and then we're going to scale them up to governmental interest groups. So if you missed class, this is what we did, and we began with 3 brainstorming questions. And question 1, which interest groups exist here at Clarenceville? Question 2, are they harmonious or contentious? Can you think of examples of both? And number 3, what determines which groups get their interests met? What determines which groups do not get their interests met? All right. And there are essentially 6 interest groups here at Clarenceville: principals, teachers, students, athletes, auxiliary staff, and parents. Now, I want to pose a question to you. When you look at these 6 groups, are their interests mutual, or do they butt heads? Or does it depend? These are some hard questions, but I want you to think about these sorts of things. And let's go dollars to donuts, okay? So I know this is not accounting class. I'll make it as simple as possible. And I know it's going to change year to year, but the year I made this PowerPoint, Clarenceville has about $26 million in revenues and about $25 million in expenditures. And if you've never taken accounting, revenues would be the monies that we take in. Expenditures are the monies that we pay out. So if you look at this, $25 million. Okay, who gets what size of the piece of pie of that $25 million? Okay, so food for thought. So here's a late definition about an interest group. So what is an interest group before we move forward? So an interest group is an organization of people with shared policy goals entering the policy process at several points to try to achieve those goals. Interest groups pursue their goals in many arenas. All right, so let's keep it at a small scale before we move it on up. So the question, what interest do principals have? Now, they are very data heavy. They have to show improvement. Okay, so if you wondered about those SABRE tests and those FastBridge tests and that PSAT test, that's all data they are using to show improvement, hopefully. And they also look at teacher performance, which teachers are performing well and which ones are doing poorly. How do we retain teachers from leaving? We don't want turnover. We want teachers to stick around. The perception from the community, again, one bad news item can really tank the reputation, but a really good PR story, students doing well, doing positive things, makes us look really good. And principals have to adhere to many state mandates. And if they don't, we're out of money. Quick example, those tornado drills and those fire drills. If we don't do those, we are going to get fined up the yin yang, and nobody wants that, right? And then initiatives that attempt to improve the running of the school. So those are the interests of the principals. Now, if you look at teachers, they have their classroom interests and their personal interests. So in the classroom, do they have adequate materials and support to conduct their classes to their optimal abilities? Class sizes, are class sizes too big? Student conduct and growth, adhering to mandates from the curriculum in school. You may not know this, but teachers don't have a choice of what they teach you. They have a choice of how to teach you, but not what. Are they adhering to that, what they're supposed to teach you? Now, in terms of personal matters, are they teaching the classes they are most comfortable with? Do they get adequate pay and benefits for their efforts? Do they feel supported by the school, the students, and the parents? So teachers have their own interests. Now, if you look at students, you could probably break student interest into 2 parts: academic, class options that fit into their plans, resources and means for them to be successful, teachers that know their subject matter and help them reach their academic goals and not inhibit their academic goals. Now, on a personal or social level, every student wants safety. They want to feel safe at school. They hope they have classmates to improve their 4 years of high school. I mean, good classmates make it a better gig. I think we all know that. And then options that allow them to find their identity. Are there extracurricular groups or clubs within the school that allow students to find their tribe, find their group? Students care about those sorts of things. Now, in terms of athletes, athletes, do they have good coaches running the team? Are they adequately funded? Are their facilities different? If you look at Clarenceville, some facilities are gorgeous. Some facilities are not. Okay, and I don't have to say which ones are good and which ones are rough. I may have a slight bias as a wrestling coach if you've seen our room. However, I will say the baseball diamond, the softball diamond, and the football field top notch. Okay, so I think you get that. Now, in terms of fairness, is their sport treated like every other sport in terms of the emphasis and the treatment? And teammates, what kind of people do they share their sport with? Are they quality people or not so much? These are the interests athletes have. Now, auxiliary staff, you don't know what auxiliary staff is. These are parapros and lunch ladies and bus drivers and custodians, the glue that really keeps the school together, if you think about it. Now, are they being supported by the school? Do they receive adequate pay for their work? Are they being provided the resources they need to do their jobs well? Is there adequate staff so they don't have to do an inordinate amount of work? Okay, that's what we're looking at here for auxiliary staff. Now, parents. Now, parents, what are their interests? Safety of their children. Are students provided options so they can forge a successful path out of high school? Are teachers teaching the curriculum correctly, and are they treating their children well? So, if you look at these 6 groups, again, these interests, are they mutual or are they conflicting? I don't know. I'll let you figure that one out. Now, the question I'm going to pose to you, if you were absent, you can think about this. How's Clarenceville doing in balancing these interests? So it's more of an opinion question, but we talked about that in class. Okay, so let's scale up to the concept of governmental interest groups. And we'll be looking at 7 of them, okay? And I'm going to have you do the heavy lifting, looking at these. And interest group number 1, the National Education Association. This is a union of teachers. And then we have the National Rifle Association. This is an organization created to protect Second Amendment rights. Greenpeace, an environmental organization to make sure environmental policy is improving the condition of the earth. The American Association of Retired Persons, AARP. These are the old timers. And if you bear in mind, there's a lot of baby boomers, and they want their rights preserved, and they want a good situation for themselves. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. These are Black people trying to improve their situation in society. By the way, the word colored, we don't use it nowadays, but again, this was founded in 1909, so excuse the vernacular. It was founded a long time ago, and people spoke a long time ago. There's the context of that. The National Organization of Women, or NOW, these are women attempting to improve their situation in society. And the United Auto Workers. This is a labor union of people who build our cars and, demanding benefits and pay and all that good stuff. Okay, now what we're going to be looking at for every interest group, the purpose and the mission of every group, how it started, its origins, its successes, credits for what we have in society today, failures and criticisms. And if you look at Google Classroom, there is one culminating writing assignment that will break this down. So if you are watching this because you are absent, please think about those questions I posed. Please do the assignment on Google Classroom. And hopefully looking at Clarenceville first helps you understand the concept, because the same rationale, the same symbiosis and conflict that exists here at Clarenceville also exists in the broader world. So hopefully you got that big point. So I appreciate you watching.